In a healthy, competitive market, the rules of capitalism are straightforward. Wealth comes from building something that adds tangible value to society. Innovation drives profit. But there is a parallel system operating right alongside that free market. In a rent-seeking economy, the wealthiest players don't build anything. Instead, they generate massive profits by rewriting the rules to redistribute existing resources into their own pockets. These actors decouple financial reward from productive contribution. By pulling the right levers within the political and regulatory systems, they erect artificial barriers to entry, secure state subsidies, and lock out the competition. This shadow economy rewards legal engineering over technological breakthrough, making the manipulation of the law the most profitable enterprise in the nation. Economists describe this dynamic using a concept known as the Tullock Paradox. It functions like an invisible toll booth installed across the productive economy. The paradox explains why powerful entities secure multi-billion-dollar monopolies by spending mere millions on lobbying. A small interest group reaps enormous, concentrated benefits, while costs are diffused across millions of taxpayers, removing the incentive to fight back. This math ensures that the system favors those who can afford to buy a seat at the table, while the rest of the country pays the bill in imperceptible increments. These toll booths are woven into the basic costs of living. In the real estate market, for example, the primary mechanism of extraction is the municipal zoning law. Incumbent property owners act as a hyper-local interest group, lobbying city councils to block high-density housing. By artificially restricting the supply of new homes, they drive up the scarcity and value of their existing assets without ever improving the property. This spatial misallocation prevents labor from moving to the most productive regions. By locking workers out of high-wage cities, these local zoning boards act as a systemic drag on total national growth. A more sophisticated toll booth exists within the pharmaceutical industry, hidden inside a labyrinth of intellectual property law. To avoid competition, companies wrap a single drug in hundreds of overlapping patent thickets. They file secondary protections on trivial elements, like the plastic casing of an inhaler, long after the drug itself has received approval, purely to block cheaper generic manufacturers. The financial toll is immense. Americans spent an estimated $167 billion on just 3 drugs after the primary patents on the active molecules had already expired. Regulatory bodies have recently identified this legal engineering as a massive deadweight loss. In response, the Federal Trade Commission has begun forcing the delisting of hundreds of these junk patents to allow market competition to return. These mechanisms prioritize the wealth concentration of entrenched monopolies over the basic needs of consumers and the dynamism of the broader economy. What happens when these extractive behaviors move beyond isolated industries and infect the core institutions of an entire nation? In 1908, Argentina was a global economic powerhouse. It recorded one of the highest annual growth rates on Earth, ranking as the 7th richest nation per capita, ahead of many industrialized European powers. That trajectory shifted under Juan Perón, who moved to close the economy through import substitution industrialization. The state heavily taxed competitive agricultural exports to protect uncompetitive domestic monopolies with insurmountable trade barriers. Without the pressure of global competition, domestic businesses stopped innovating. As the public sector bloated to maintain the system, the nation plunged into chronic cycles of hyperinflation and repeated sovereign default. Modern South Africa provides a look at the final stage of institutional decay, known as state capture. Private actors colluded with top leadership to systematically hijack state enterprises, including the national power utility. They extracted billions in public funds, leading to catastrophic infrastructure failures and national blackouts that crippled the private sector. When a state replaces market competition with political favoritism, it guarantees poverty, corruption, and systemic failure. Systemic rent extraction is not a permanent trap, but a reversible policy choice. By the early 1980s, New Zealand's agricultural sector was deeply dependent on a web of government subsidies and price controls. Farmers were insulated from global markets, incentivized to rely on state payouts rather than improving their productivity. Facing a sovereign crisis, the government enacted radical structural reforms. They dismantled nearly 30 agricultural subsidies almost overnight, removing the state safety net and forcing the sector to compete on its own merits. The sector did not collapse. Instead, it underwent rapid consolidation and technological innovation. New Zealand emerged as the most globally competitive, deregulated agricultural powerhouse in the developed world. Entire industries can successfully be weaned off state extraction when they are finally forced to face market realities. Sustained prosperity requires shattering the expectation that the government will continuously underwrite private inefficiency. To safeguard the future, societies must design institutions that demand a simple trade-off. The only viable path to immense wealth is the creation of tangible societal value. Thanks for watching. For more deep dives into the hidden systems that dictate our world, subscribe and join us for the next investigation.